Our next speaker is Gürsel, Senior Director of Solution Architects at Picus. And Gursel's going to walk us through evidence over scores, operationalizing exposure validation. We're going to see a demo and how to tie vulnerability context, control data, and threat simulations into one score so you can defend while also creating trust with your stakeholders, auditors, and your board. Gürsel, take us away.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be presenting the operationalizing exposure validation for today. So Volkan is already explained the details about the deprioritization, the exposures via security controls. So this is a common journey every company's experience actually, but without validation, exposure prioritization is a really hard topic for the organizations. So companies are already dealing with a lots of exposure in this game. So I'm calling as a game because, there are tons of vulnerability in your systems that you need to deal with in every day with your experts actually. So currently, what you are doing with all these informations, you are trying to reduce them by focusing on the exploitability details. Are they exploitable or not? Or the CVSS score is high or critical, or the EPSS score is high. So, but what is happening after analyzing all these things? So, of course, you'll be reducing or prioritization of the exposures with this approach, but still there are lots to fight and it is increasing day by day. So this is a kind of war that you will never win because of this increment, right? So to align with the Volkan's presentation, I will choose one of the exposure that you saw before, which is the Apache Log4Shell. So what I'm seeing in here, this is a critical one, right? So, and I'm seeing that there are 3 assets are affected because of this vulnerability. So when I check these assets, I'm seeing HRMS system, which is sitting on the cloud, intranet system, and credit application. So, and all seems high critical to me. Why? Because I'm not focusing on the security control effectiveness in this picture. So, but what I'm seeing else in this picture, there is an agent available tag in the intranet side. So what does it mean? I will explain, of course. So today, I will explain the theoretical exposure journey, how it will turn to validated exposure. Moving forward, I will explain how the EXV works with the security control validation. First, it is starting with understand your asset context plus vulnerabilities, and then focus on the security controls that protects your assets, and then focus on that specific vulnerability, how your security controls are affected against that specific one, and then calculate exposure score, then provide a mitigation suggestion for reducing the risk for your organization. So we need to find the related threats that may exploit the vulnerability that you face in your environment from Picus Threat Library. Picus Threat Library is a library that you can leverage the real-world attack and expand daily basis to test your security control effectiveness. So in this example, we will be leveraging the Log4Shell threat for testing. So I'm seeing there are 3 threats, and I would like to focus on one of them in detail. So what I'm seeing in this picture, there's external attacks, external references, CVE information, CVE mapping. So all these informations are available in my library, along with the payload information. So this is crucial for the transparency and traceability. So I'm testing your security controls with this threat, and then I'm seeing the prevention capability of the security controls. So in this picture, my security controls are protecting me around 64%. So 2 out of 3 is prevented by the controls, which is good. So how about the detection pieces? You may want to focus on the detection as well, because sometimes it is not possible to prevent all attacks in your organizations, right? So in this picture, I'm leveraging the detection analytics capability, which is connecting to your EDR solution, SIEM solution to understand the logging activities and offenses that you raised during this assessment. So after analyzing this, you will be able to see how many logs you successfully validated, where the logs are coming from, and what are the offenses you generated. So if you want to see the details of these activities, of course, you can see in details which device are sending the logs and what is their action. So when it comes to the discussion, what is needed for the exposure validation? There are 2 components, major components needs to have, right? The evidence-based security control effectiveness calculation, and it needs to be transparent and traceable for scoring mechanisms. So you need to see if the attack is successfully prevented, logged, alerted, or when it started, when you detect these activities, when you generate an offense. So what you are using for testing the infrastructure and what is the outcome of this threat. So what type of responses you are getting from the system itself or security control itself, and what are the logs that you collect. So these are crucial for validation pieces because there are always evidence for all activities. So what I have done right now, so I run the assessment, I test my security control effectiveness. Now I have a score for it. I'm counting for measuring the exposure. My criticality level is going down from 10 to 7.3. So if you want to dig in the details to understand the exposure score, so what I've used in this algorithm is the CVSS score, exploitability information, business criticality, plus security control effectiveness. So this is how we calculate these results. But according to your company risk appetite, this algorithm may need to change. So we are providing a customizable exposure score calculation mechanisms to you, so you can utilize it. So how we are deprioritize log4shell vulnerability with this mindset. So you have 3 assets. So we apply the breach attack simulations to one of them. We measure the score and we reduce the risk. But how about the others? So there was no agent on those machines. What can we do? There is a extrapolation engine. So Extrapolation Engine is getting the previous simulation results from the Picus platform and then focusing on the security control efficacy and make an estimation for the other assets that you have in your game. So after analyzing your infrastructure, so it is assigning a security control effectiveness score with the estimation by leveraging the AI technologies. And you will assign an exposure score to each of your assets in your organization. What I have in here, so the asset 1 is around 9.1, the asset 2 is 7.3, and the third one is 5.2. But this is not enough for me. I know it is hard to fix everything. But in the asset 1, I know it is staying on the cloud. There are not much security controls in front of it. So maybe I can give some suggestions for it, but I'll be focusing on the second one. So because I have more security controls on it. So from the mitigation perspective, I can tell you, you should patch your devices that sits on the cloud. This is the first actionable item for you. For the second asset, I can give a specific context for you to prevent these threats that are exploiting that vulnerability in your organization by leveraging your web application firewall or IPS solution by providing a specific content for it. Moving forward, we can focusing on to detect these activities. So we can provide a predefined query to catch these type of activities and generate an offense with the deploy options from Picus platform. After we apply these mitigation suggestions to your security controls, so you'll be able to reduce your exposure score from 7.3 to 5.9. So how the exposure will look like after you put in your security controls and validate your security controls in the system. So you'll be able to reduce from 10 to 7.2, 5.9, and 5.2. So in a nutshell, we'll be leveraging the breach attack simulation for evidence-based security controls and then use the outcome for calculating the exposure score and then leverage the actionable recommendation to improve effectiveness of the security control and mitigate the exposure quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gürsel. I'm actually going to throw it back your way with a question from the audience. Someone asked, exposure validation assessments, for example, a breach and attack simulation assessment, against something like Log4Shell. Could that be harmful to my organization if we are, in fact, vulnerable to Log4Shell? Is that assessment going to bring any danger?
Okay, that's a good one, actually, because I was mentioning this is a real payload. I was showing the payload. This is a real threat. Of course, no, because, we are leveraging our own agent to test your security controls. We are not focusing on your direct assets. Rather than focusing on your assets, we are focusing on your security controls by leveraging our own agents. We are sending the payloads from outside to our agent and then check your security controls if they are capable to stop them or not. So in a nutshell, no risk.